Okay, so to be clear, his argument is that there must be immunity for a U.S. president from any prosecution for being held accountable for any of his crimes because it's traumatic. It's traumatic for him and the country to hold a president to account, even for quote unquote crossing the lines, whatever that might mean. We'll talk about it in a second. There must, by the way, it is the court's decision to decide what is good and bad under the law. Like, hey, it's good to not murder. It is bad to murder. You're under arrest. It is kind of their job. They don't need to determine the morality of everything, but they do have to determine if you violated the law or not. Everyone should be equal under the law. That's at least the whole principle of our judicial system. There must be certainty. Example. There must be certainty. Example. You can't stop police from doing the job of strong and effective crime prevention because you want to guard against the occasional rogue cop or bad apple. Sometimes you just have to live with the great but slightly imperfect. All presidents must have complete and total presidential immunity, or the authority and decisiveness of a president of the United States will be stripped and gone forever. Hopefully this will be an easy decision. God bless the Supreme Court. So here's a few things. If a cop murders somebody in office, I mean, well, in their position, if they go up and just go like, hello, I don't like you, bam, 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 they should not have immunity from prosecution for that. If we're really saying that a person should be immune from all crime while in a position, then we're saying that the president can do anything within his position of power. If Joe Biden was to then, and this is the logical conclusion, say, well, I don't like Donald Trump.
Ice to Petty has donated $50.
Wow.
Zero.
Thank you for the $50. I'll use this to help Biden pay for the operation. This operation. If Biden, if this is true, is immune from, being held accountable for any crimes he commits, why couldn't he just hire a hitman to just take out Trump? No, legitimately, if he's immune while in the office of the president, and and Trump's willing to say we have to sacrifice, we need to be able to have that rogue cop, we have to make that sacrifice for the power of the presidency, then technically, if we were to apply this legal standard, Biden could have Trump taken out. In fact, he wouldn't even need to hire an assassin. He'd just go to a Trump rally, go kerblamo, and then have the Secret Service protect him and take him out of there. In fact, you wouldn't even just need to target Trump. He could just drone strike the entire rally if he wanted. Look, all I'm saying is if you make the president immune from all crimes, the person who has power over the executive branch and the military, then he might use said military to commit horrific crimes. Say, sending them to occupy districts that don't support him, or sending them to go suppress protests brutally, or whatever it might be. Trying to steal the election, trying to stay in power after he's lost an election, which he's tried to do before. If we gave the president full immunity, then there would be no way for us to hold him to account if he was to try to abuse the system to stay in power. If the president is immune, what if the president broke the law to stay in power? Could we remove him if he's still in power? Could we arrest him? Look, all I'm saying is this falls on its face. If this ended up being true, we would have no means to hold the most powerful people in the country accountable. And you should be worried when somebody who wants to be president is saying the president should not be able to be held accountable. Everybody else should be held accountable. We're going to go after the deep state. We're going to go after this guy. We're going to fire this people. We're going to do Project 2025. We're going to sweep everything. But me, I should be the only one that is not held accountable to the letter of the law. Not good. A president, oh, this time it doesn't have all capitals. A president of the United States must have full immunity in order to properly function and do what has to be done for the good of our country. A nation-destroying ruling like this is after him, this is him reacting to the ruling. A nation-destroying ruling like this cannot be allowed to stand. If not overturned as it should be, this decision would terribly injure not only the presidency, but the life, breath, and success of our country. A president will be afraid to act for fear of the opposing party's vicious retribution after leaving office. I know from personal experience, because I'm going through it right now. It will become a political weapon used for election interference. Even our elections will be corrupted and under siege. So bad and so dangerous for our nation. Save presidential immunity. Now he's reacting to this court decision. The court looked at Trump's argument, said, this is stupid, and they kicked him out. of course the president can still be held to account. If the president is not held for account for crimes he's committed, then there's no way to hold the most powerful amongst us to account. And then the whole principle of our judicial system is undermined. It is no longer everybody is equal under the law. Everybody has to follow the letter of the law. It is everybody but the most powerful among us have to follow the law. Everybody but the president has to follow the law. And if the president doesn't have to follow the law while he's also making the laws, then not only could he craft the laws to benefit himself, but he could then avoid those laws. For example, while Donald Trump was in office, and this principle goes against laws he passed while in office, he passed a law around the Presidential Records Act, specifically to increase the penalties for violating the Presidential Records Act. And after increasing the penalties for violating the Presidential Records Act, he then immediately proceeded to violate the Presidential Records Act. You can't claim ignorance on that one.